So students, today for our spiritual conversations, I don't have Brian here. I have someone that looks much better as far as I'm concerned. But Jenny is with me today, and so Brian and I could not get together, and so Jenny is joining us to discuss some of what we're going through with James. Before we get into that, just a couple of things that I need to let you know about. You probably already have figured this out or assumed this or maybe heard it, but unfortunately, we have to postpone our regroup event that was scheduled in April. It's just going to be too hard. Even if things were to just crazily get better, it would just be very, very hard to get everything organized in its final plans like we need to, other churches that are involved in all of that. So we're hopeful that we'll actually do something in the fall. And then I am just unsure about some of our other plans and things that we have. I will be very, very honest with you. I'm worried about camp and the potential of what could happen there. So if anything goes with that, I will let you know, and then I will do my best to try and come up with something for us to possibly do. And so guys, just be praying for those things, praying for people who have been affected by the virus and all the stuff that's going on. But I just wanted to let you know about those few things. I just want to be very honest with you on some of those details and things that are going on. But we are excited to be able to present some word to you, for us to have some conversation over it, and for you guys to hopefully get some teaching and some truth from it and from God's word. And so we're excited to do this for you guys. So this afternoon, for us, we're coming at you live from my new office, or also known as the Playroom. And so Jenny's done some fantastic little decor here to kind of give it a little bit more of a different feel, something that maybe would actually hang up in my office, I guess. But anyways, so we're going to be in James chapter 1, and we're going to look at just verses 22 through 26. And so I'll give you a few minutes here to kind of turn there if you want to grab your Bibles and take a look at that as well. You also may hear some things going on in the background, some noise. That would be my newest co-workers, Jude, Silas, and Malachi. And so they're busy working hard at playing right now. But again, they may be, you may hear them from time to time as we're having some of our conversations. So James chapter 1, verse 22, it says, "But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like someone looking at his own face in a mirror. For he looks at himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of person he was. But the one who looks intently into the perfect law of freedom and perseveres in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer who works, this person will be blessed in what he does." In verse 26, "If anyone thinks he is religious without controlling his tongue, his religion is useless, and he deceives himself." And so a couple of things that we'll just kind of talk through, and one of them that, as Jenny and I were talking a little bit, one of the first things I noticed what James is saying, and this goes very, very well with what's going on in our world, is action to the Word of God means acceptance of the Word of God. And so what he means is this, is that when you can't just be a listener of the Word, you can't just hear the Word, right? You must have some action behind it. It doesn't make sense to have to say like, oh yeah, I believe that, or I hear that, and do nothing with it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we both like watching the Marvel movies, right? You like those. Who's your favorite character?
Black Widow.
Why Black Widow?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. You just said it. That's all.
She's really pretty.
Oh, she's pretty. Okay. Sure. So mine is Captain America. And the reason I like Captain America is because he knows his principles. He knows what he stands for. He knows all of that. And that shows in how he acts in the things that he does, what he chooses to do. If any of you, I'm sure most of you have seen the movies, but if you think of the movie Civil War, where him and Iron Man kind of collide and there's that big fight, part of that has to do with the fact that Captain America believes what he believes for a particular purpose, and he acts on that, and it happens to be opposed to Iron Man. And so I think for God, that's what he desires for his people to do, right? Like, more than simply to just read his word and say they believe it, but he actually wants the word to be absorbed into the life of those who read it. And then the result should be this action, this living out the word. So Jenny, what do you think in terms of that? Like when you hear what he's saying, what does that mean in terms of being a doer of the word and absorbing the word? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if you're putting something in, then it's going to come out. And so I talked with I work with the 6th grade girls, which I love, and I miss you all so much. And we talked about there having to be a pitcher in front of us one day. Sorry, I can't say the word right.
Pitcher? Like a pitcher of water?
Yes.
Okay. It sounded like picture. I just want to make sure I got it. Okay.
Pitcher, same thing. So I said if you have Sprite in the pitcher, whatever, and you go to pour it, but you're expecting water, then you're not going to get water. You're going to get Sprite no matter what. And so whatever you put in is what should be coming out. And so if you're putting the word in you, then you're going to get the word out and should be getting the word out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Sorry, our dog kept trying to come in and out of the door of the room. So anyways, yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. Like, and I think that's what James is saying, right? What we kind of put in, that correlates. What you read, what you take in is going to be seen in how you act and how you live.
Yeah.
So
watching what you're doing too. Like if you're watching movies that are bad or have a lot of bad language in them, then you're going to start doing that too. Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful. If you surround yourself with certain people, you're going to start acting like them. And for those that have been around us a lot, you probably say turkey snot or shoot a monkey. That's his. So those kind of things, like whatever you surround yourself around is what is coming out. And if you want to be kind and like Christ, then this is the way to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you're pouring yourself into it or letting it pour into you, then this is how you're going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So students, so like what we've kind of talked about is there's a couple of things. You have a chance to do a couple of things right now. Because God, in this time with the circumstances that we're walking through, has gifted us with some extra time. Let's be honest. You're not going to do school all day. Yeah, you could play video games all day. You could be outside around your house, whatever. Like there are things you can do, but definitely God has gifted us with some extra time. And so the two things that I want you to consider is one, absorb the word. And what I mean by that is just read, right? Just start taking it in. I'm not expecting anybody to come walking away from this if in several weeks to go, well, man, I'm the next great theologian. I know everything about the Bible. In fact, I could teach lessons better than Paul. Well, you could, but regardless, that's not what I mean. Just take it in, let, like a sponge, right, soaks up water. Just take it in, let it absorb into your life, and then see how that flows out. Which leads to the next thing, live it out. And so you might be thinking, but I'm not at school, I'm not at these other places. How in the world am I going to live this out? Like that, what are you talking about? So social media is a primary thing. You got TikTok, you got Snapchat, you got Instagram. Some of you barely are on Facebook. YouTube, whatever things you have like that, use it, right? Just hop on and just share like, hey, this is a verse that I read and this is what I understand of it. Send encouraging texts and messages, not only to your friends, but other kids in the youth group. If you need phone numbers, if you need anything like that, let me know. It's a great way, just encouraging each other. And then with your family, right? So like in verse 26, when he talks about controlling the tongue, right now, you are going to be spending way more time with family and other people than you probably have in a while. Yeah. And so this is a prime time for you to watch the words that you say and how you say it with your family. And that also includes people that you come into contact with. Like Jenny was telling me a story about her going to the store, and I'll let her share that. But her words, right, just simple things that she was saying was shocking people. So go ahead and tell these guys, whoever's listening, just what kind of happened as you went to the grocery store this morning?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say real quick, we teach our boys all the time. Of course, they're younger, but I tell them you always want to use words that build each other up and not tear each other down, which is very simple and easy, but it's a good thing to think about. Is my words going to build someone or is it going to tear them down? And tear down words are easy. they're so fast, they come out of your mouth real quick. But building each other up, that's hard, but it takes time and it takes thought of to constantly do. And if you're in this, then the words are going to come a little faster. So which one? You
Just
today at the store?
Yeah, today at the store.
So there, I got to go to Walmart, which was amazing. By myself without the boys or without Paul. I still called him, and so we talked about it while I was there. But as I walked in, you know, they have the carts and stuff, and usually you wipe off your own carts. Well, there was a lady, one of the employees that actually is spraying down. I think they're doing it at United also here in town, but they'll spray down all the carts with disinfectant. And I watched as one lady grabbed a cart, and she looked at the lady and said, my cart's all wet. And the lady's like, well, it has disinfectant on it. And the lady kind of was rude about it and was like, ugh, so gross, you know, and then walked off. And I was like, I'm glad it's wet. Like, it's disinfectant and it looks clean, and I like that. And so I happened to look at the lady, and not because of the incident that happened before, but just she is in it. Like, she's taking disinfectant and she's wiping everything down. She could easily get sick. She's touching all the germs. Like, this is DEFCON 5 seriousness right now. And she's in it. And so I just wanted to thank her for the fact that she could easily be like, I ain't doing this job. That's gross. But she's there and she's watching everyone. She's standing right there at the front door while everyone's coming in with all their germs. And she's disinfecting stuff. And so I said thank you so much, and that really took her back, and she's like, oh yes, of course, you know. And so I think, and that kind of helped me throughout my entire journey through Walmart, was being kind to everyone. And I tried to smile, and it's so hard because a lot of people look at you just like you're, you know, the disease itself. And it's so hard because everyone's so scared, you know, right now. And so trying to smile at everyone. And I think the hardest thing for me was watching where my mind was going to go. So there's a few kids that were in the store. And my first thought was, why do you have your kids out? Like, this is not good. You shouldn't do this. And then just the second, like, holding that captive and remembering, I don't know their story. I don't know their background. I don't know their circumstance. I don't know if, you know, maybe they had to bring their kids out. There was a newborn baby in one of the baskets, and I was like, oh my gosh. But I don't know their circumstance. So I went on the other side, smiled at them, and walked past. Like, that's just taking care as much as I could. But trying to be as kind as possible and watching others and keeping that 6 foot, distance, and watching all of them. And so, that was...
Yeah, it's, and again, some of you guys may not be getting out or whatever, but just think of, in your home in particular, right? With mom and dad, with siblings, with whoever is in your house, like, how am I responding to them with my words? Like, just a simple thing with that. Am I responding with grace? Am I responding with encouragement, with peace, with comfort, whatever else the case may be? And so this is a prime time actually for you to figure out and to practice living out your faith and living out the word. And so when I talk about absorbing the word, when I talk about living it out, I want you to think of it maybe a little bit like this. This was the simplest way I could think of it and put it in my mind. So reading the word would be like if you're on a team, right, and you're learning the plays that you have. So if it's volleyball, if it's basketball, softball, football, baseball, whatever, they all have various
choir,
things.
it's your music. If it's,
there you
know, band, it's your music.
I don't know that world, but yeah, exactly like that, right? That's like learning the plays or learning the music or whatever else. That's reading the word, okay? But then living it out is the practice that you do in the games or the concerts or whatever else. Like, that is how you learn the plays even, right? And how you you perfect them, you make them something into what they're supposed to be.
Or even showing how well you did know them.
Yeah, exactly. And so like this is
if you're not prepared, it's going to show.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is that time for you to really maybe hone in on some things, particularly with how we use our words, right? And that's what James talks about in that one verse in verse 26. All right, I want to kind of end our conversation, but I want to finish up with some more that James talked about. So he uses this example, and he talks about how like somebody who is a hearer of the word but not a doer of the word, they're like a person who looks in a mirror and then forgets what they look like, which seems entirely ridiculous to me. But I think I understand what he's saying. It is ridiculous. So imagine, right? I looked in the mirror this morning, and I looked at myself. Okay, I'm looking all right. And I realized, I got my beard. It's looking pretty good, right? And then I walk out my bathroom door, and I happen to touch my face, and I freak out because I have a beard. Like I forgot that it was there in the first place. That seems insane, like just ridiculous to think about, right? Now we can have weird circumstances where we do stuff like that. Like I can remember once I was talking on my phone, I think to Jenny, and I'm like, wait, where's my phone? Right? It's in my hand. I'm talking to her.
All the time.
Yeah, but so we have those weird circumstances like that. But I think that's what James is saying. Like there's a ridiculousness to that idea. And what he's saying is it's kind of ridiculous for somebody who claims to follow Jesus, to be a believer, to say, I am reading the word but never live it out. Or to try and live out the word, live out what it means to be a believer in Jesus and never know the word, never read it. And so I really think that's what James is saying. Like those two cannot be separated. Do you have any other thoughts towards that?
No, I was trying to think. I think it also works with like now that we're in. So the I can't say it right. COVID-19.
Sure.
But it's like we surround that, you know, we know all about it, and then you walk out of your house and you completely forget what we're doing, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's about all.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It is. And it's just that idea. Go ahead.
I wanted to say like not quite with all that, but I know what I said about Walmart and remembering like trying to be kind to everyone at Walmart and stuff. It's easier, I think, with people that I'm not in an everyday conversation with or an everyday life with. It's much easier to be kind to those, I think. I mean, maybe that's just me. But with my kids here, it's a lot difficult. It's a lot more difficult of remembering to be kind. Because when Jude drives me absolutely bonkers, I'm very quick to speak and slow to listen. And if you know me, I'm really slow to listen a lot of the time anyways. I love talking. But I have to be careful. And that's the same with you at your house. Remembering that your parents, this is whole new baseball field for them too. This is a whole new thing for them. We've never had to go through this before as kids. We've never had to do that as kids or as an adult. And so we're all in new territory. Mm-hmm. So we are all trying our best, but we're asking you to be patient with us. You know, parents, especially us parents, are asking our kids to be patient. And I'm sure you kids are asking your parents the same thing. And I need to remember that is I have to be patient with my kids. Yeah. And if you know me, I'm an 80-year-old when it comes to technology. So I hate technology. And so this is a whole new scary time for me, is trying to homeschool my kids. So if you guys want to help me out in any way, go for it. You can tell me tricks and like remind me of things. That'd be great. I'm horrible when it comes to it. So if I have not texted you, I don't know how. So
yes,
that's
you do. You at least know how to text people.
Not in a group. I'm really bad at that. So yeah. But just keep meditating on his word and hold captive everything, because this time we're all getting real quick to fight, and I have to remember that with him, like as much as I love him. we have to be careful that with each other, and letting him be in his office when it's time for office time, and
It's true.
not telling him how much the kids are driving me nuts. But
It's true. Yeah, and just one final thing. Anybody else who's listening who's not a student, obviously this is who it's primarily geared for, but still, same thing applies. She already said it, parents, how we speak to our kids and things like that. This is time for even you to figure out how to be a doer of the word, even in a different circumstance, in a weird time. And so again, our encouragement to you is absorb the word. Take this time as a gift from God, absorb the word, and let God just build that into your life. And then secondly, be a doer of the word. So live it out and try and practice it, right? That's just it. Just practice it. Just put some things in place of how we speak, how we act, how we react, all of that stuff. And so I hope this was encouraging to you.
There is some, I'm again not a technology person, but I know a few things. There are a few apps on the Bible that will help you. That one that you were talking about, it's the rappers or pop people. I don't know.
Yeah. It's an app called Streetlights.
Yeah.
And so some Christian hip hop guys and stuff they're simply just reading the word, but it's got some great kind of music and stuff in the background behind it. Excellent resource. Just to kind of read along with what they're doing, but it just helps engage you with the music behind it. Gives it almost a little bit of a, not quite like a rap song or whatever, or a hip hop song or whatever, but just that feel of it, and it's really, really neat. And so I highly suggest that, the Streetlights app, and then the Bible app has some really good stuff.
And Right Now Media does some devotions.
Yep, Right Now Media. And if you need access to that, let me know.
Church,
so let me know. We can get you hooked into that. So again, those are the things that we have. We just want to share this word. I hope it's encouraging. I hope you've learned something from it. Shoot us a text or anything like that if you're like, hey, I got a question about this, or that was great, man, I really learned this. It would be encouraging for us to hear that from you guys. We love you, we miss you, and I really, really hope that we get to be together again very, very soon.